guys, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another Let's Talk About video. In this video I'm going to be talking about exam stress, dealing with exam stress, my experiences, my advice, because it is nearing exam season again. Well, I suppose it is exam season technically, and a lot of you were asking how I dealt with it when it was my GCSEs last year, so I thought it would be a good topic to talk about in one of these videos. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about my experience and then my advice, although the two will probably like intertwine throughout. But firstly, my experience isn't that kind of big, if you know what I mean. Like, I would never really say that I was that stressed. I definitely had moments when I was stressed about exams. The one that comes to mind is 2 weeks before my first exam. I had like a week or so where I was breaking down, like literally every day. I was really stressed out, but that's the only real time that I was properly stressed, I'd say. And I feel like that was just purely because I was pretty prepared. And even though like I say that I wasn't that stressed, I still think that my mental health was affected in other ways, if you know what I mean. I definitely did not get through GCSEs unscathed. Definitely part of my mental health went into those 11 A stars. And also it's funny actually, because it's like when you're, well, it's not funny at all to be honest, but when you are surrounded by stressed people like I was at GCSE, you almost then start to stress about why you're not stressed, which is a bit of a weird concept, but that's what I found as well. I was like, well, they're stressing about something, so why aren't I stressed? But yeah, that was kind of like my experience. So now onto my advice. And I think the reason that I was never really that stressed is because I never really allowed myself to get to that point, apart from that one time. But that one time, the time 2 weeks before my exams, almost taught me what not to do next time. So I'm kind of glad that it happened then and not like during my exams, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so my number one piece of advice when it comes to exam stress is don't allow school, revision and exams to completely take over your life. You need to allow time for yourself, because if you don't, you will end up being like me in those 2 weeks before the exams, where you just run yourself into the ground. I think that's a phrase. Yeah, you just run yourself completely down. You've got no energy, no motivation, because you've overworked, and it's just not a great mental place to be. And as I said, I know that from experience. And something as well that affected me is that I always felt guilty when I went out with friends or did something that wasn't schoolwork. But I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to still do those things. It doesn't matter how close your exams are, you need to take a break from it. You need to detach yourself from your schoolwork every now and again, because otherwise you will get into this stressed, frantic state. And I know it is hard, because you do feel guilty sometimes, or at least I did, and some people that I know felt the same way. But you need to get the balance right, because otherwise like your mental health will take a toll. And I'm not saying like completely ignore your work, don't do any revision, you know, go out all the time instead, but a balance is absolutely essential in my opinion. So for example, it doesn't have to be anything big and grand like going out for a day trip or anything expensive at all. One thing that I found really helped me was that after school I always took at least an hour's break before doing any other schoolwork. So I think I'd just sit, get a snack, watch YouTube, watch Netflix, something like that. And then also in the evenings I would never work too late. I know that like that's relative to how you work best, because some people that I know work best at night, but for me that just doesn't work for me. So I would always stop working at around 8, maximum 9, and then I would take the time to wind down after the day. So one thing that I did during exam season is every night I would do stretches or yoga. There's loads of great tutorials and like follow along routines on YouTube, and I would listen to relaxing music, and I found that that really relaxed me. So I think finding something that relaxes you in that way is essential for keeping your stress levels down and basically just surviving exam season. So obviously it doesn't have to be yoga, it can be, I don't know, watching a film, reading a book, just anything that helps you personally. And also every week I would take one day completely off. Even during exam season I would always have a day off, and for me this day was Saturday because I had a Saturday job, and I know that that's still a job, but it allowed me to completely detach myself from my schoolwork and focus my mind on something else. And I think that really helped me, because then when it came to Sunday I could dedicate the day to the schoolwork, and because I'd had the Saturday off and I'd done no schoolwork on the Saturday, I always found that I was more energized and just more productive and motivated on the Sunday. And you know, it doesn't have to be a job, it can be anything else really, you know, if you're into sport, or you can just go out with your friends, something like that, but just so you have a break. Yeah, and lastly, the last thing that I really have to say about kind of my advice on keeping your stress levels down doesn't really apply to current year 11s, because obviously your exams are soon, but for future year 11s that are watching this, I would definitely say don't leave all your revision till the last minute. I know it can be tempting, and I know that some people are like, oh, I'm just gonna cram, but I feel like if you keep chipping away your revision throughout the year, you know, revise for your mocks, make revision materials as you go along, you'll find that when you actually get to exam season, it will go a lot smoother and your stress levels won't be as high. So yeah, that's what I would definitely say. And also remember that exams at the end of the day, they're not the be all and end all, they're not the end of the world. And I know that at this point in the year it can often seem like school is your life, but you've got to remember that school is only part of your life, so you do need to allow yourself to do these other things and have a life, you know, because at the end of the day, this is something that I think about quite a lot personally. I would rather look back on my teenage years and be like, yeah, I made some really great memories and I have really great stories about things that me and my friends got up to, you know, like places we went, things we did, rather than, yeah, I spent a lot of time revising and I got good grades and I did nothing else. If that makes sense, I hope you understand what I'm saying, because these are some of the freest years of our lives if you think about it, so make the most of it and don't allow school to take that away from you. So yeah, I think this was a fairly short let's talk about video actually, but yeah, I feel like that's pretty much how I would sum it up, kind of my experience and my advice. I know there are probably loads and loads of other videos about stress out there, but once again, I didn't want to ramble on about things that I didn't personally do or didn't personally help me, because then, you know, it's, once again, it's a bit fake, it's a bit pointless. So yeah, I hope that this helped you, and good luck to everyone that has their exams soon, whether it be GCSEs or A-levels or whatever. Yeah, make sure to like, subscribe and follow my social media, which will be linked down below in the description. Bye guys!